from a lifestyle in California that is very fast paced, that's very on the go, that's very busy, and coming to a smaller town in Spain where things move differently, people move differently, has been an adjustment, and it has allowed me to change certain habits that I've had in California and adapt to. So, I've been living in Spain for almost 7 years now, and I wanted to talk about some of the habits and some of the routines that have changed now that I've been living in this country for almost a decade. My name is Kirsten, and these are my weekly videos where I talk about living abroad. I talk about what it's like freelancing and managing money while abroad. There's just a really big bug that just flew right in front of me, so hopefully it doesn't come near me. Then make sure you subscribe to my channel. So if you know anything about Spain, or if you've read, other people's experiences about moving and living in Spain, you probably know that one of the things that they talk about the most is the slower pace of life that is in Spain. And I do want to add a little information to that. I want to say that I think the slower pace of life really can depend on where you move. I think that if you are living in a bigger city, obviously the pace of life in a bigger city is faster, and there's more people and there's more things to do. There's a lot going on in a bigger city like Madrid or Barcelona, even Valencia. There's more people, there's more work, there's more traffic, etc. Or small cities. I'll say that. I live in a small city, and ever since I moved to Spain, I've lived in smaller cities. So I experienced a lot of change coming from California, coming from a lifestyle in California that is very fast paced, that's very on the go, that's very busy, and coming to a smaller town in Spain where things move differently, people move differently, has been an adjustment, and it has allowed me to change certain habits that I've had in California and adapt. So, the first habit that has changed since living in Spain is, if you can guess, is probably one of the biggest things that have changed. And it's probably something that this change probably has greatly benefited my physical health and definitely my mental health. And it's something that I don't really miss. It is something that I might have to go back to depending on where my life takes me, but I hope that it doesn't take over my life as it did in California. In California, this habit, or yeah, this routine was something that I could not live without. Like, it was very hard to live without this. And that habit was relying on a car. So I am currently carless. The exception to that is my partner has a car, so he'll often drive me places. But ever since I moved to Spain, I relied on walking. I normally, when I need to get somewhere, it's usually walking or taking a bus. And if I need to go longer distance, then it's either bus, sometimes it's bus, train, or a system called BlaBlaCar, which is like a um, ride sharing service. Where I live, they don't really have Uber or Lyft. We do have taxis. In other parts of Spain, there is Uber. Other parts of Spain, there's Lyft. Other parts of Spain, there's like a taxi services. But I think overall, my day to day life doesn't rely so much on a car unless my boyfriend is taking me somewhere or we're going somewhere together. But a large aspect of my life is walking. Walking even when I go into the city to take dance classes or run errands. It's a walking about 15 minutes to the bus stop, and then it's getting to the bus. Once I get into the city, it's walking another 15 to 20 minutes to my dance class or wherever I need to go, or sometimes it's taking the bus. But walking is a big part of my life, and I think to not just as a mode of transportation. Walking has been something that I can now incorporate in like my daily routine in my life, in my weekly routines, I'll say, not really my daily routine, but my weekly routines, walking as a form of exercise, walking as a form of movement, walking as a form of just like, let me get out and get some fresh air is something that is incorporated in my life. And I can't really say that was incorporated in my life in California. I know when I go back to visit, a lot of times my mom and I will go for like evening walks, but I can't really remember, when I was living in California, kind of going on walks as just like, let's go for a walk. It was more of like, we'll go on a hike, or like if I was meeting up with a friend, we'd meet up at a cafe, we'd meet up, maybe walking, we'd walk around the mall, which I think is very different than like what I do now of walking around the neighborhood. So I think that, yeah, walking is definitely something, just walking more as a mode of transportation, a mode of movement and exercise has definitely been one of the biggest changes since moving to Spain. I think another aspect of my life that has changed is kind of this natural talking to strangers, but not like stranger danger type of thing, but more so starting conversations with people that I don't know. So that happens a lot, or that when I'm waiting for the bus, we have like our little talks about, what's going on in the city, what we did for the weekend, I'll be waiting in line sometimes at the market and start up a conversation. Sometimes I'll start up a conversation with like the cashier. There's yeah, there's just kind of this natural flow of kind of like when you're in a space with someone that you don't know for a while, then you kind of naturally start a conversation with them. And I really like that. And I feel like it's a fun aspect. And that I something that I didn't really experience a lot in California. Like every now and then I might start up a conversation with like a stranger. Um, but it was, yeah, but here it's kind of more, yeah, this kind of like cultural rule where you can kind of just, talk to the person next to you. Um, yeah, and I think it's a very human and a very yeah, a very human, very warm kind of thing. And it was definitely like a little bit awkward at first because I definitely was the person that kind of like, I'd walk into a place and I have my headphones on and I kind of be in my own I would be in my own world. But now I start to, really enjoy those moments, where I might just randomly start talking to. Usually, it's an older person. I will say the elderly usually love kind of, chatting it up with you. But it's really nice to have that human aspect to living here in Spain. There's definitely lots of other things that have changed. So if you want to know more, or if you have any questions about, what are the biggest changes that have happened to me since moving from the United States to Spain, then let me know in the comments and make sure you like this video and subscribe for more.